So, at this point, we've spent a lot of time discussing the different ways that we think about the worth of the environment and the different philosophical frameworks for making decisions about how to treat the environment, but it's been a little bit abstract. So, now we're going to turn our attention to a case study that will sort of ground these ideas in a real historical scenario that occurred in 1913 in California. And this is the case of the Hetch Hetchy Valley. So, the Hetch Hetchy Valley was a region of Yosemite National Park, and you can see it pictured here in this black and white photo from the early 1900s. It was a well preserved scenic valley through which ran the Tuolumne River, as well as several creeks, multiple waterfalls, and had this rich, well preserved riparian ecosystem. And being a part of a national park, the Hetch Hetchy Valley was supposed to be protected. However, in 1906, the city of San Francisco, which was built on the San Andreas Fault Line, experienced the deadliest earthquake in the history of the United States. The Richter scale did not exist at that point, but the earthquake is estimated to have been a 7.9 magnitude quake, and it set off fires in the city that lasted for days. And between the fires and the quake itself, 3,000 people were killed. The ferociousness of those fires was blamed partly on the city's meager and unreliable water supply. And in the aftermath, people began to call for measures that would provide the city with a stable, sufficient, and clean supply of water. And the Hetch Hetchy Valley landed in their crosshairs as the proposed source for that water. However, the flow of water through the valley, like so many rivers and valleys, varies significantly by the season of the year, with dry spells in the summer and then flooded, marshy conditions resulting from snowmelt runoff in the spring. So, in order to stabilize the water supply year round, a dam would need to be built, turning the whole valley into a reservoir that would hold sufficient water to be supplied at a consistent rate throughout the year. The issue of whether to build this dam and permanently flood the Hetch Hetchy Valley, set off a fierce debate in the American public, with two camps emerging. One was led by Guilford Pinchot, who is pictured on the left, who was the chief forester under President Teddy Roosevelt, and Pinchot took the utilitarian, anthropocentric view and favored the building of the dam. And the other camp was led by John Muir, pictured on the right, who was a renowned naturalist and environmentalist and the founder of the Sierra Club. And he took an ecological, moral, biocentric view and fought for the preservation of the Hetch Hetchy Valley and against the construction of the dam. Um, Here are a few quotes that really display the values that each of these two sides of the debate were driven by. So Pinchot wrote, "As to my attitude regarding the proposed use of Hetch Hetchy by the city of San Francisco, I am fully persuaded that the injury by substituting a lake for the present swampy floor of the valley is altogether unimportant compared with the benefits to be derived from its use as a reservoir. The fundamental principle of the whole conservation policy is that of use, to take every part of the land and its resources and put it to that use in which it will serve the most people." And then on the other side of the debate, John Muir wrote, "These temple destroyers, devotees of ravaging commercialism, seem to have a perfect contempt for nature, and instead of lifting their eyes to God of the mountains, lift them to the almighty dollar." So you can see how these two positions contrast in the values that underpin them. So, what happened? In the end, the utilitarian, anthropocentric camp won out, and Congress voted to build the dam. So the Hetch Hetchy Valley was lined with concrete, as you can see in this photo, and a 430-foot dam was constructed that began delivering water to the city of San Francisco. And the city continues to draw much of its water today from the same reservoir. Here's a side-by-side comparison of the Virgin Valley and the concrete-lined reservoir that exists today.